not only the relevancy of what's happening in real time with the NCAA and student athletes, but just us as a society as well, about the disparity of wealth, the disparity of how we're treating one another, and that we've become very kind of selfish in our own regard, and versus being more selfless and understanding one another's point of view, even if our politics are different, our social agendas are different, our personal agendas are different. And National Champions tests all that. This young man, LaMarcus James, who has everything on the line, including $35 million. That's generational wealth. That's wealth that can influence his family for generations, and yet he risks it all to take on a system for the better good of everyone else, not even himself, risking himself for everyone else. And I thought that was an incredible, powerful story of a protagonist that I haven't seen before. This amazing performance by Uzo Aduba, who really voices the other side of the equation, which is super important to understand. As much it is about Stefan James and Alexander Ludwig and what their message is and what they're taking on, and how we're leaving kids who are getting busted up, and we're not even giving them medical insurance. We're not even taking care of their physicality and their medical needs, let alone money or to help them find their path in life. They're the ones that are risking it all. So it's really interesting that the movie takes on so many different aspects in a quick 2-hour period, but I think it does it in a way that's very fair and honest, where you can really see how complex the issue is. JK is an extraordinary human being. He's not only a tour de force actor, but he's a guy that helps galvanize the people around him. And that's really important when you're working on a fast schedule and this type of drama. You want people to feel safe, that they can explore boundaries and really push it and not be embarrassed if they fall on their face. He's the kind of guy that's going to pick you up and dust you off and say, let's go do it again. He's a kid that's flawed, like all of us are flawed, but he's really found a place and a purpose to take on a system. And there's a kind of true north sensibility to LaMarcus James that I knew had to be indicative in the casting as well of who was going to play him. And there was really only one quarterback for me, and it was Stefan James. What was amazing about Emmett was he was the only person that really didn't have a legacy on the line. It was the idea that he was doing this in a very selfless way of, maybe it was his last moment in the spotlight, maybe it was his last moment that he felt like he could be relevant and really back his buddy before he went back to the farm. But there was no NFL future for Emmett Sunday. There was no money that was going to come from this. It was more about just being a part of a moment and trying to change things. And I love that about that character, and it made the casting extremely difficult. Once Alexander Ludwig came into the picture and we did a chemistry read together, it was like a lightning rod. And then the fact that I didn't realize that Stefan and Alexander had worked together several years ago, so they already had a kinship with one another, it became the perfect two-hander, where you got these two kids that you could tell really genuinely loved each other and were backing each other and doing whatever they can to take on the world. Bailey was written as a Southern firecracker, and I don't think there is another Southern firecracker than Kristen Chenoweth. I mean, she is the Southern firecracker. But she's also somebody that grew up in Norman, Oklahoma, and grew up around the big powerhouse of Oklahoma University and their football program, and knew what the boosters were about, knew what the college was about, the university, knew college sports inside out. So her point of view in that was fantastic. What is amazing about Uzo Aduba is she is by far one of the most powerhouse actors I've ever worked with. She is just fantastic, and she's just as good as a human being. She's so professional, such a beautiful human being, a beautiful spirit, that I think you see that in the performance of what people would call the antagonist. By no means is she that. And I think then when you hear Catherine's point of view of what she has at stake in this situation that she's taking on, there's a lot of Uzo, of her own history, that comes out of that, and her own point of view of how she benefited being a female student athlete. how that helped her in her trajectory in life. And I think we have to protect that. When we were doing National Champions, yes, you're going for all the main roles as actors, but our Cornelius, our Orlando, our Wyatt, those are all real kids that came from D1 football that understood it. So even on day one, God bless J.K. Simmons, the very first thing we shot is the coach's speech to those 82 players sitting in front of them. Those are 82 real kids that had never been, almost all of them had never been on camera before. And a lot of them really got emotional listening to Coach Laser and what he had to say, because I think they understood it, that we were coming from a very grounded and honest point of view that, yeah, we're a Hollywood movie. You know, that's what we do. We hopefully make movies entertain and somebody wants to pay to see and go escape for 2 hours. But hopefully this is a movie that also has a message within it that really gravitates towards them and they can understand the issues that we're taking on at hand. But you're dealing with 80 kids that had lived and breathed this. And a lot of them, the system failed, where they didn't make it to the NFL. Their dreams didn't come true, and they're trying to figure out where their marks are in life. So when you have that type of authenticity in front of camera, now it manifests itself with everybody. Everybody else starts taking that on. The first thing I did was talk to Stephen, who plays Cornelius, he played for Georgia. How do the player meetings go? Who sits where? How does this really, what are you feeling when the coach calls an impromptu meeting? He goes, you're crapping your pants, because it means that maybe their scholarship's gonna leave, somebody's gonna get benched. You don't know what's gonna happen. It's real world stuff. It's super high pressure. You hear real people's experiences that have lived and breathed it, and then your job as a director is to make sure that that is translating into the cast and into the story itself. I wanted to show a movie that really had enough of the people that were experts in this and had lived and breathed it to understood it. So to suddenly get Russell Wilson to be an executive producer on the movie, who is a very strong voice and obviously is a major NFL star, but understands what this is about, to Malcolm Jenkins, and then to have sportscasters like Mike Greenberg and Michael Smith and Michael Hawley and Jamel Hill and Taylor Rooks and Nick Wright from Fox Sports. You have people that really, to get them to say yes was not hard at all. It was reaching out to them immediately understanding what the subject was at hand and wanting to be a part of it. I love that. I love that the movie is, in a way, not just Hollywood telling you what's wrong, but a lot of people that live and breathe college sports that understand it far better than I do about where the position is and the point of view of it. So I hopefully, again, National Champions, when you see the experts that are on camera, the people that are a part of this, they did it out of their own gracious and their own goodness. Steve Levy, as well as another one, that it comes across in a way that you understand that it's got something to say that's not just Hollywood saying it, but athletes themselves. We didn't write the dialogue for Malcolm Jenkins. We didn't write the dialogue for Russell Wilson. We didn't write the dialogue for Jamel Hill. We allowed them to put their own opinion into things and what their own point of view was. So when Malcolm Jenkins is talking about his days at Ohio State and how some of his colleagues, his players that he played with, have been permanently hurt and left without any medical and so forth, that's coming from Malcolm Jenkins. That wasn't part of the script. And I love that about the movie, that the movie is this fictional movie that's taking on a real world situation, hopefully doing it in a very provocative and dramatic way, but also it was a platform to allow people to speak and to really voice it from their own history, their own expert opinion, versus us trying to write something for them to say that would be, it would be a fictional piece and also not help the cause of us forcing somebody to say something that wasn't true. Our youth are our livelihoods, right? It's the future. And what I love about the youth of America and through college sports is the passion that they show, the vibrancy, the antics, the levity, this energy, right? And I really wanted to capture that. And it's fun to see a movie with an outcome that has, yes, very serious drama in it, but it also has a tremendous amount of levity and fun. And I wanted the movie to have that vibe. I wanted to really kind of capture the essence of a college athlete who was dealing with tremendous pressures, tremendous drama, but also this is their time. This is their time. This is their time to shine, find their place in the spotlight, but also all the antics that go with it.